Have you ever wondered how one of the world's oldest religions began? How a small group of people, wandering deserts and living under great empires, could give birth to an idea so powerful that it reshaped human civilization? This is the story of Judaism, the faith of the ancient Israelites, a religion that introduced the world to the belief in one God, a tradition that survived exile, war, and destruction, and a legacy that laid the foundation for Christianity and Islam, faiths that today count billions of followers. Welcome to the Relay Talks. In this episode, we journey back thousands of years to uncover the origin of Judaism, not just as a religion, but as a story of people, memory, resilience, and hope. So sit back, open your mind, and join me as we travel from Mesopotamian temples to the deserts of Sinai, from Jerusalem's holy city to the exile of Babylon, and witness how Judaism began. Part 1. The Ancient Near East, the world before Judaism. To understand the origin of Judaism, we must step into the ancient Near East, the cradle of civilization. Imagine vast rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates in Mesopotamia, the life-giving Nile in Egypt, fertile valleys surrounded by deserts and mountains. This was a land where great empires rose and fell: Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, Egyptians, Hittites, and Persians. Religion in this world was polytheistic. Every city had its patron god. People worshipped the sun, the moon, the stars, fertility goddesses, and storm gods. Temples were grand, sacrifices were constant, and myths explained the forces of nature. It was into this polytheistic landscape that something revolutionary appeared: the belief in one God. The Hebrews, later known as Israelites and Jews, were a small Semitic people. Culturally, they shared much with their neighbors. But slowly, they began to tell a story unlike any other: that the universe had a single creator, who was not just a tribal deity, but the God of all. This was the seed from which Judaism would grow. Part 2. The Patriarchs, Abraham and the Covenant. The origins of Judaism are rooted in the story of one man, Abraham. According to tradition, Abraham lived in Ur of Mesopotamia, a bustling city filled with idols and temples. Yet Abraham heard a call from a different kind of God, unseen, indivisible, almighty. This God commanded him, "Leave your land, your father's house, and go to the land I will show you." And so Abraham journeyed westward, across deserts and rivers, into the land of Canaan. And there, a covenant was made, a sacred agreement between God and Abraham. God promised, "I will make of you a great nation, I will bless you. And through you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed." This covenant became the foundation of Judaism. Abraham's story continued through his son Isaac and his grandson Jacob. Jacob, later renamed Israel, had 12 sons, the ancestors of the 12 tribes of Israel. Here we see Judaism not as a sudden creation, but as a family story. Part 3. Exodus, from slavery to freedom. Generations later, Jacob's descendants found themselves in Egypt, a lineage bound together by promise, memory, and faith. At first welcomed, but over time enslaved under Pharaoh. Their suffering became the central drama of their identity. Into this story steps Moses. Born a Hebrew, raised in Pharaoh's court, Moses fled into the wilderness after killing an Egyptian oppressor. There in the desert, he encountered God in a burning bush. A voice commanded him, "Go back to Egypt, tell Pharaoh to let my people go." And what followed was a series of dramatic events: plagues, confrontations, and finally the Exodus. With the sea parted before them, the Israelites escaped. They journeyed into the wilderness, no longer slaves, but not yet a nation. At Mount Sinai, Moses received the Torah, including the 10 Commandments. This was not just a set of rules. It was a vision of life: justice, mercy, holiness, and devotion to one God. The Exodus became the defining memory of the Jewish people. It was about more than liberation from slavery. It was about forging a new identity, a people chosen, a nation bound by covenant and law. Every year, during Passover, Jews retell this story, not as distant history, but as living memory. The Exodus reminds them, and the world, that freedom and justice are sacred. Part 4. The land, the kings, and the temple. After years in the wilderness, the Israelites entered the land of Canaan. At first, they lived as tribes led by judges, warrior prophets who rose in times of crisis, but eventually they demanded a king. Saul became the first king of Israel. Then came David, who captured Jerusalem and made it the capital. And Solomon, David's son, built the magnificent first temple. The temple was the heart of Jewish worship. Inside was the Ark of the Covenant, believed to carry the tablets of the law. Sacrifices were made, festivals were celebrated, and people traveled from across the land to worship. But after Solomon, unity crumbled. The kingdom split, Israel in the north, Judah in the south. Wars, corruption, and foreign invasions followed. Still, through all of this, the people held onto their covenant. Their faith survived empires. In Part 5, Exile and Return, the transformation of Judaism. In 586 BCE, catastrophe struck. The Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem, burned the temple, and carried many Jews into exile. For a people whose faith was tied to a land and a temple, it seemed like the end. But exile became a turning point. With no temple, Jews turned to prayer, study, and community. Synagogues appeared. The Torah became central. God was no longer tied to one place. He was everywhere. Decades later, the Persians conquered Babylon. King Cyrus allowed the Jews to return and rebuild. The Second Temple rose in Jerusalem, yet Judaism had been transformed. It was now portable, a faith of text, memory, and identity. The experience of exile taught resilience, and that lesson would echo throughout Jewish history. Part 6. Sacred Texts. The Tanakh. At the heart of Judaism lies the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible. It has 3 sections: the Torah, the Law, the first 5 books, traditionally linked to Moses; the Nevi'im, the prophets, who called for justice, mercy, and faithfulness; the Ketuvim, the writings, including Psalms, Wisdom, and Chronicles. These texts were written over centuries, compiled from oral traditions, history, and divine inspiration. They tell of creation, covenant, kings, exile, and hope. The Tanakh was not just a book, it was a lifeline, a portable homeland for a people who often found themselves scattered. Part 7. Beliefs and Practices. What made Judaism unique among ancient religions? Monotheism, the radical claim that there is one God, eternal and indivisible. A sacred relationship between God and Israel. Law, commandments that shape daily life. Memory, from rituals
Festivals
to
like
ethics. Passover and Yom Kippur kept history alive. Judaism was not just a religion, it was a way of life, a shared story, a destiny that bound generations together. Part 8. Legacy and Influence. By the time of the Second Temple, Judaism had become a resilient, evolving faith. It shaped the world around it. From it would emerge Christianity, with its roots in Jewish prophecy. Centuries later, Islam would honor Abraham, Moses, and many figures of the Hebrew Bible. But Judaism itself remained distinct, a people bound by covenant, Torah, and hope. Its legacy is not only in religion, but in ethics, justice, compassion, dignity, and the belief that history has meaning. So, what is the origin of Judaism? It is the story of Abraham's faith, Moses' courage, David's kingship, and a people's resilience through exile. It is the story of a covenant between God and a people that survived destruction and dispersion. Judaism is not just ancient history. It is living memory, still practiced by millions today. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the origins of Judaism here at the Relay Talks. If you found this exploration meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And join us next time as we continue uncovering the stories of the world's great religions. Until then, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep learning.